Today, I'm super pumped because I got my hands on the new Glock 17 Gen 6. I'm going to do a comparison today to an unfired Gen 5 Glock 47. Now, why am I doing the 47 versus the 17? It's because the 47's going away, and what they really did was they made this a Glock 47. They just like the name 17 more because it's more well known. We're going to do a deep dive, look at these real quickly, and compare the two. Let's get in.
Shooter, make ready. Are you ready? Stand by.
First shots with the Gen 6 Glock 17. Okay, first impressions. For a stock Glock, it feels flat. Like it really does feel like it stays flat. The grip is way more comfortable. The beavertail is really nice, and this is rounded here on the front. It's just a much more comfortable grip on the gun. Felt stable. I like the grip. I will probably end up doing grip tape anyway, even though this is pretty good. I've gotten so accustomed to sandpaper grips that I really like them. And I'll probably put a backstrap on because my hands are huge. But from a first impression, I would not have thought that was a stock Glock. Well done. Now,
So looking at the Gen 6 here, what we're going to do, first thing I want to do is see what it is like to put an optic on here. I want to look at that plate system they've got, the new optic cut, and see what that process is like to install an optic. Second thing I want to do is look at the back straps and how those are going to fit because I got giant hands and that's an important thing to me. So we'll look at the back straps. Then I want to take this apart, look at recoil springs. I want to see how the recoil springs fit and will a Gen 5 fit on here. And then finally, the big finale, and something I'm really excited to look at, will my Radian Ramjet off of my Gen 5 Glock 47, will this fit on the new Gen 6 Glock 17? Let's find out. Let's talk optic cuts. This is the new optic cut, which is really unique, and I kind of like it. It comes with a plate system, and when you scan a QR code in the package, it's actually fairly intuitive. It uses the old MOS plate numbers. So I'm installing the 507 comp by Holosun here. That takes plate number 2 on the 9mm. So I grabbed this plastic plate, I selected number 2, and I popped it onto the slide, and it fits flush. So it's really just a spacer there to make the space flat, and it fits perfectly flat on top of the slide there. And the Holosun mounted like a thing of beauty. Fit perfectly. Love it. Back straps. Now, I have huge hands, and I will say the beavertail on this gun feels really good. It's comfortable in the hand. I would just like a little bit more real estate there for me to be able to get my palm around. So here's the back strap installed, but I gotta tell you, it creates a hot spot. I'm not a fan of how this fits right at the top of that beavertail. You can see there's this gap, and I can really feel that kind of pinching in the web of my hand there. So I'm not sure what my solution's going to be. I'm thinking of Kydex kind of changing the grip angle. So as I was saying,
the Gen 6 Glock 17 is actually a replacement for the Glock 47. Okay, I'm going to show you why. Okay, slide from the Glock Gen 6 Glock 17. Here is the spring and the guide rod from that gun. This is the dual spring system from a Gen 5 17. It's actually coming out of my 34, but you can see the Glock 17 and the 34, they took the spring significantly longer. So obviously that's different. That's not going to work, and that's why it's a replacement for the 47 as opposed. And here's the 47. Okay, this is my Glock 47. Here is the
dual spring that comes from the factory. You can see the length there is identical. This is an aftermarket Radian spring for the Gen 5. But there's something interesting on the guide rod here. It's this end. They made this cap. They had to do that because on the dual spring, there's a big cap there. See that? And the front of the slide, where this fits in, is big and made to take that larger area, okay, and fit in there like that. When you look at the same area on the Gen 6, you can see, hopefully in the light there, that that's been narrowed up. So a Gen 5 guide rod will not fit in there, okay? Because it just won't go down past this area here. Wait for a second. Okay. Now, I did find something interesting. I got to thinking the Gen 3s had a different guide rod in them. They had a narrow guide rod that looks identical to the Gen 6. In fact, on the back of the guide rod here, part number 5593, part number 5593. Those guide rods are identical. So the Gen 6 Glock takes the spring and guide rod from a Gen 3 Glock, which is the most modifiable Glock generation there was probably. So going to be really easy to get springs and different guide rods and things for your Gen 6 because all you have to do is go out and look for Gen 3 parts for the guide rod and spring. That makes it nice. Just to prove the point. Now out of a Glock 19. Gen 3 Glock 19. Okay, next question. Gen 5 Glock 47 with a Radian Ramjet. Will the Gen 5 Radian Ramjet, because the barrel length and the spring length are the same, will the Gen 5 Radian fit on the Gen 6? Let's find out. Okay. Well, the answer, heck yes, it will. I actually shot it earlier like this. Let me show you that footage.
Okay, we're in business. The Radian Ramjet barrel fits in here perfectly, and the afterburner looks great on the end of the gun. We're going to fire the Gen 6 Glock with the Radian afterburner and Ramjet. You ready? All right, here we go. Oh yeah, that's awesome. You ready? All right, here we go.
All right, guys, there you go. Gen 6 Glock 17. I'm impressed. They made some great changes. They listened. They did some wonderful things. The undercut here's nice. I don't get lock knuckle as bad. Now, I might go ahead and round this edge off right here just a little bit more and just smooth it out to fit my hand a little bit better. But it's infinitely better than the previous generations have been as far as that goes. I do also like the beavertail here. This fits really good. It feels really good in the web of my hand until I put that backstrap on there, and that did bite a little bit. The optics it feels really solid. I'll go put a bunch of rounds through it tomorrow with the optic on there, but that feels really solid. I don't foresee any issues or any problems there. It seems to be a perfectly good mounting system that they've got, and it mounts it nice and low. I like that. And the Radian Ramjet, I'm excited that that fits and don't have to wait for a new generation of that to come out. And also excited to kind of play with springs and see what I think there, because those Gen 3 springs and guide rods fitting, that's going to open up some possibilities there as well. So all in all, I'm excited about the new generation. I think it's going to be a hit. I think everybody's going to want one, but we shall see. It's still a Glock, so it's not for everybody, but it's for a lot of people. There you go, guys. Wanted to answer some core questions that I didn't see anybody else answering. Like, subscribe, come back and see me. Let me know what questions you have that I might be able to answer about the Gen 6. And what do you like? What don't you like? Have you had your hands on one yet? Have you shot it? How's it feel to you? Thanks again. We'll see you next time. See you out on the range.